Hey, Chad and Sarah Gale here with Hope Relentless Marriage, and we are doing our interracial hour. It's not going to be an hour, but we need to create a jingle for this. But this is when we get to come on and talk to the interracial couples, or maybe you can be a fly on the wall. Maybe you're not an interracial couple, but you're just curious about how do those couples interact. And so we're going to be talking about some of those things. And one of the things we're going to do today, it's going to be fun. I'm already laughing thinking about it. It's just going to be talking about some differences culturally speaking. And, Chad and I have been married 18 years and dating about 2 years before that, although he knows the exact time frames. And we have encountered a lot of different things that you just have to end up laughing about because you see it's very clear these are cultural differences. And obviously we don't want to stereotype. So I recognize, if you're watching this, you're Black, you might not feel the same way I do in this area, and vice versa with Chad. And if you're white. But for us, these have been really interesting and funny. So we want to share some of those topics with you.
I remember this moment, you said that if you want to be a fly on the wall because you're curious. I remember we had been married like super early, and your family lives in Denver, and we were at the Denver airport getting ready to fly home to LA. It's like 6 a.m. We were one of the first flights out, and we're at the Burger King inside the Denver airport trying to order probably a coffee and some type of breakfast sandwich. And the guy steps up and he just looks at us and goes, "How does this work?" And I'm like half asleep and I'm just like, "What? How does what work?" Just like not even aware of what's going on. So if that guy from 20 years ago is listening to this, we're going to give you the lowdown on how this works.
Right. So, I want to just comment on that. We were just such young bucks. We were just and we were just so in love, I think. And that's something I want to encourage you listening, because if you have people who are kind of like, what is that about? And it might be more of a negative feel. It's kind of just like, hey, just enjoy the person you're with. You're going to have people like that. But I think your resolve as far as enjoying the person you're with needs to be stronger than ignorant comments. It's a little bit of a microaggression there, but it was early, we were young, in love. And so we didn't take it personal. And so I think if you can not take things personal, especially from people who say ignorant comments, trying to impact your day, then that's going to go well for you. Sorry, just wanted to interject that.
Yeah, but real talk, being an interracial relationship or marriage, you're potentially going to have more opportunities to be offended. And that's something true to navigate. How do we want to respond in those moments of offense? That might be a different podcast and a different conversation. But let's jump into some of these moments where we realized, oh, Sarah Gale grew up differently than I did. Chad grew up differently than I did. And this isn't just like a boy and a girl thing. This is bigger than that. What are some of those moments for you, babe?
Well, I have a towel right here because my hair is dripping. Even though I took a shower like 5 hours ago, it's still wet, people. My hair does not dry for about 24 hours, basically. And so hair is a conversation that is near and dear to my heart. I love it. I hate it, but it comes up pretty often. And I think, Chad, that you were shocked as far as how often the hair conversation happens.
Yeah, I think of that. He wasn't ready. Like, I'm still shocked. I'm still shocked at how often hair comes up. And I'm still trying to figure out the appropriate level of engagement and dialogue, because I think I have messed up this hair conversation more often than I thought we would ever talk about hair. Like as a kid, I remember getting my hair cut. I don't remember a lot of hair conversations taking place in my family. Like we have hair, and we do it, and that was about it. And so the hair thing was a big deal. I remember early on, I don't actually remember if we were dating or if we were married, but you were about to go get braids. And so you asked for my help to brush out your hair so that it was ready for the next day. And so we're sitting there
I wasn't ready.
No, you weren't. I wasn't either. So we're like watching a movie or watching a show. Might have been back in those early days, like when Netflix would mail you a DVD in the mail and you'd watch a show and then you'd mail it back. Dating ourselves a little bit there. But so I start trying to brush your hair. And very quickly, I got the brush stuck. And I was like, and the more I tried to pull, the more it got stuck. And that may have been certainly a mistake, but also maybe a moment of freedom. I think that was the last time you ever asked me to brush your hair, because you realized he's not a safe person. This isn't he's not safe to touch my hair.
He's not. He definitely wasn't. Yeah, that was pretty traumatizing. You know, in those scary movies, the music where it's like the knife. That's the soundtrack that plays in my mind for moments like that, because I think I didn't quite learn in that instance, because I think at one point I tried to get you to help me take the braids out, and that was equally painful. And so the hair conversation is one that is very different. And now we have a 15-year-old who has curly hair as well. And so I don't feel quite as alone, because we share the product journey as far as this product's working now and then it doesn't work later.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it's you know what? Let me just take a moment and vent here, because it is so expensive to manage curly hair. And sometimes I'm just like, you know what? That's not right. That's not right. They're because, you know, we have to pay all this money for the products. My son has this little Aveda bottle that he uses, and it costs like $60 and it lasts him like 3 weeks or something. And it's unbelievable, but it gets his curls right. It's so the money that we spend on our hair is also astronomical. And part of me is like, it's just not fair though, that we have to spend that amount just because our hair is not the same as the majority, if you will. So it's another podcast as well.
Yeah,
What else,
the
Dad?
marketplace is exploiting the curly heads out there.
That's the word. I feel exploited.
Micah and I both have straight hair. Somehow Micah, this mixed kid, has thinner hair than I do. But you know,
Yes.
like our hair gel or hairspray, it's literally like a couple dollars, right? Our haircuts, you know, $30, $35 for us to go to the barber. And then for you guys, it's significantly more. And all I
Yes.
know is the amount of times that you have communicated hope and optimism, that you have found the product that is the solution to all your woes, only for that to fade out and to be left underneath your bathroom sink, which is
Yep.
full of different
Yep. It's
rescue,
full.
savior hair products that are now been discarded. But that was a real thing. I was here. I never imagined in my life we would be doing several minutes on a podcast talking about hair, but here we are.
See, it can go forever. And I just want to add one more thing, even though I can add a plethora of things, but I just am glad we're on the same page, because he does not use my shampoo or conditioner. When we were early married, he tried. He tried to use my expensive shampoo and conditioner. I'm like, nope, we're going to get you the 2-in-1, because your hair doesn't need what my hair needs. And so you got to set some boundaries in place early on sometimes regarding that as well.
I remember at first being offended. You're like, your hair isn't worth this. And I was like, what? What do you mean? I got hair in my head just like you. But then when you told me how much, it was like, oh yeah, we gotta treat that like treasure. Go get me the 2-in-1 Dove, or whatever you get me. I don't even know. For all I know, I'm pouring oil into my hair and washing it out. Who knows, right? It's
just water. It's just water.
Just water and bubbles.
All right. So the next one I want to talk about, that, unless, do you have any top of mind? I have some things written down. If not,
go for it.
Okay. So barbecues. So let me just ask you this, Chad, if your white buddy, and just so you listening know, we love all people. We're just talking about the funny differences that we have encountered with our cultures. So Chad, your white buddy invites you to a barbecue, and then your black buddy invites you to a barbecue. Yeah. What's going to be happening? What is there a difference? Is it the same?
Same word, different experience.
Completely different.
So a barbecue, Typically, not always. I grew up on the West Coast, so I'll say that. I know parts of the South might throw down
Oh,
differently, but on the
oh
West
yeah.
Coast, a barbecue. Hey, come over for a barbecue. Hey, we're hanging out. We're going to barbecue. Most likely, what that means is hot dogs and burgers. That is your most standard barbecue.
Grilling, grilling. It's a
Yeah.
grill.
Yep. So I remember, so a good friend of ours, Jelani, I remember when I was hanging out with him, we were getting ready. It's like summer, and it was like 4th of July or Labor Day or Memorial Day, some holiday. And I said, hey, we're doing a barbecue. Do you and Jada, his wife, do you guys want to come over? And he goes, whoa. Hold. He's like, what does that mean? Because he grew up in Oklahoma, and he's like, I'm not trying to show up to a barbecue all excited and then there's hot dogs. Like, so you got to keep. And I'm like, yeah, we're going to make hot dogs. He's like, Chad, that's called grilling. That's grilling. That's not a barbecue. You can't mess with my emotions like that. You can't let me down. And so he was letting me know, to him, what a barbecue is. A barbecue is going to have some brisket. It's going to have some hot links. It's going to have some chicken. It's going to have some ribs. It might have burgers and hot dogs, but that's like one of many options. It's not
Yeah.
the option. Like a barbecue means you're throwing down. Like
Yep.
we're cooking food for, that we might be eating for days, or just like people are just rolling in
The
for
music's
hours.
playing. Yeah,
And I think
and
even that's another funny thing in terms of like what
oh yeah.
the timing around like a white barbecue versus a black barbecue and what that looks like. That was something for me too.
Yeah. And so I don't know if you mentioned this, but the barbecues have the special sauce also. And
Mm.
so I'll never forget the times we would go to Detroit. My uncle would barbecue for us. He'd have that big, like, what is it, the big
Yeah, like a
barrel
smoker. He'd have like
smoker.
a grill, a smoker. He'd have like 3 different types of ways he was cooking the
Multiple.
meat.
It's like you don't mess around with just one little grill. It's like, the barbecues, they have multiple grills, multiple food, and the special sauce is priority. It's special sauce so much that oftentimes the cook will not give you the ingredients to the special sauce because it's special.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, the timing, I think we could just segue into time when it comes to Black folks. With the time, it's a whole different perspective, a whole different language. When it comes to parties, I almost was raised to feel like if I am on time for a party, like if they say 4 o'clock and I'm there at 4, I am being rude, because
Yeah.
we know good and well they're still putting out the last touches on things. They might need to run to the store still and get some things. And so 4 o'clock is rude. And so it's like, oh, we're gonna show up around 6, maybe 5:30 or so, and we'll be just fine. And usually we're early still at 5:30. People are still getting there. People are still bringing the food. So the timing is very different.
Yeah. Whereas for me, if they said 4, it's like you're walking through that door, knocking on that door within a couple minutes of 4, because anything else is rude. And I get, you're probably not going to show up early. You don't want to, but if somebody says 4 and you show up at 5:30, like I'm like, it probably ends at 6. What are you talking about? And and so that was another thing, like end times. Like, when does it end? You would ask me, hey, do you want to go do this? And I would be like, well, when does it start and when does it end?
Oh my
And for
goodness.
you,
Yeah.
this idea of like ending was like, what do you mean? When does it, like, you just show up and you hang out until people leave. And I'm like, no, babe, like I need to know what I'm getting into here. Like if it's 4 to 6, that's one thing. If it's 4 to 8, now I'm wondering, like, what are we doing for 4 hours? Like, what's happening? And so I remember that was a big thing of like, I'm ready. And then like, we need to be leaving, right? For this example, to get there by 4, like, all right, babe, let's go. And you're like, okay, I'm going to jump in the shower. And I'm like, what? What do you, we need to be leaving. Why are you? And you're like, yeah, they said get there at 4. And I'm like, yeah, we need to leave right now to get there at 4. And you're like, oh no, like if they said 4, you don't get there when they said. And my mind was like, what do you mean? So these were some fun dynamics for us, for sure.
Right. And then even like what happens at the party, you know, from the type of music that's playing, the volume of the music, the type of games you're playing, you know, playing dominoes, cards versus other games that you'd be playing. So all of it is very different. It's a different vibe, a different feel. And you know, both ways have value. But I think for us, the significance was recognizing, yeah, there is a difference for how we grew up culturally. And if one of those differences rubs the other person the wrong way, like Chad, he likes to be on time. And for me, obviously, I that wasn't a huge value, especially when it comes to parties. You know, I understand when you have an interview, when you have things that are other people are waiting for you, like you are the one that they're waiting for. Let's be on time. Let's be early even. And so I am even growing in that because that mentality was not one that I necessarily grew up with, but one that I now see as very important. And so because it was important to Chad, it was worth me leaning in to hear, okay, so how do we want to go about this? Like, do you want to be on time to the party? And then also Chad would have to be like, okay, well, is this a party that you're not on time? And so it's just communicating and not seeing the differences of opinions or perspectives or upbringing as fundamentally wrong, but just seeing them as different and something to communicate so that we can be on the same page about.
Yeah, I think that's really important is not elevating one as better than the other, but
Yeah.
identifying that they're different and
Mhm.
learning how to enjoy and celebrate and appreciate those differences. Like that's going to be a primary skill for interracial or intercultural relationships. Like you got to learn how to celebrate and enjoy those differences for sure.
Right. Okay. Well, I say we stop here because we've already been ranting about hair and barbecues
Yeah.
for almost 20 minutes.
Well,
And
now I'm
so
hungry. I want some. The
I
problem is I
know.
don't know that we have anything. We oh no, I grilled last night. I made burgers last night. So we
Oh,
got burgers for lunch.
that's right.
Nothing
That's
else.
right.
Not a
We do
barbecue
have
in
burgers.
there, but you know, we got something to look forward
Yeah,
to.
we have something. So we'll go eat some of that soon for lunch. But next time, I think we can continue with this perhaps. Maybe we'll interweave it into some other topics as well, because I think it's fun. It's just funny to laugh at it and celebrate the differences and recognize that you're not alone. I hope you listening, if you're an interracial couple, that we resonated with some of the things that you go through and you're able to have a good laugh and feel seen,
Yeah.
especially you know the curly heads out there. We you know we need to be seen, we need to be heard.
Yeah. We should do that. We should advocate for curly hair. Why don't you go dry your hair? I'll go grill the burgers and we can meet in the kitchen for lunch.
Sounds awesome. Okay, well, I'll see you next time, and until next time, treat each other kindly and recognize that it's a blessing to be in relationship with someone that you love and that loves you, honors you, and that you are choosing to be with. That's a blessing, and so celebrate.